What if one man was so wealthy that his generosity collapsed entire economies? What if one journey changed global markets for years, without a single weapon, war, or conquest, in the 14th century? One African king did exactly that. His name was Mansa Musa. Today, he is remembered as the richest man in history. But what made him truly dangerous was not his gold, it was what his wealth revealed about Africa. In the early 1300s, the world was already connected by a web of trade routes. Europe, still finding its footing, struggled through periods of economic hardship. The Middle East thrived on commerce, the bustling crossroads of civilizations, and Africa, particularly West Africa, sat at the very center of this global trade. Gold flowed from deep within African mines, a river of wealth that powered kingdoms. Salt, a precious commodity, crossed the vast Sahara Desert. But it wasn't just goods that moved. Ideas, books, and culture traveled with the caravans, enriching every land they touched. At the heart of this intricate system stood the Mali Empire, one of the largest and richest empires the world had ever seen. And in 1312, its throne passed to a man named Mansa Musa. Who was Mansa Musa? He was more than just a king. He was a devout Muslim, a shrewd diplomat, a dedicated scholar, and a ruler of extraordinary vision. Under his leadership, the Mali Empire controlled vast gold reserves, the lifeblood of its economy. It held dominion over the key trans-Saharan trade routes, the arteries of global commerce. Cities like Timbuktu, Gao, and Jen became legendary centers of wealth and culture under his reign. But like so many rulers before and after him, Mansa Musa didn't hoard his immense wealth. He believed that riches were a responsibility, not merely a source of power. It was this deeply held belief that would soon send shockwaves across the known world. In the year 1324, Mansa Musa announced his intention to make the Hajj, the sacred pilgrimage to Mecca. What followed was perhaps the most extravagant journey in recorded history. His procession was a sight to behold, a moving city of gold. He traveled with tens of thousands of soldiers, attendants, and courtiers. A caravan of hundreds of camels stretched for miles across the desert landscape, and each camel was laden with hundreds of pounds of pure gold. As Mansa Musa passed through North Africa and the Middle East, he gave away his gold freely. He distributed it to the poor, gifted it to merchants, bestowed it upon fellow rulers, and showered it upon the cities he visited. When he arrived in Cairo, the economic hub of the region, he gave away so much gold that its value plummeted. Prices for everyday goods skyrocketed. Merchants panicked as their fortunes evaporated overnight. The regional economy was thrown into chaos and would take years to stabilize. Historians would later confirm that this was one of the largest, most dramatic cases of inflation ever caused by the actions of a single individual. The aftermath of this journey had a profound global impact. Across the regions Mansa Musa had passed through, the value of gold was shattered, trade was severely disrupted. It would take over a decade for these economies to fully recover from the king's generosity. And, for the first time, the world, especially Europe, truly noticed West Africa. European mapmakers began to draw the Mali Empire on their maps, often depicting Mansa Musa himself, seated on a throne, holding a golden orb. Africa was no longer a mysterious, unknown land. It was a superpower. Its wealth and influence could no longer be ignored. But Mansa Musa's greatest and most enduring legacy wasn't his gold. It was knowledge. After his journey, he returned to Mali not just with his retinue, but with the brightest minds of the era: architects, scholars, poets, and jurists. He brought back with him a treasure trove of books from across the Islamic world. With this intellectual capital, he transformed Timbuktu into a global center of learning and culture. Grand universities, magnificent libraries, and stunning mosques rose from the desert sands. These institutions became beacons of knowledge, where subjects like law, astronomy, mathematics, medicine, and philosophy flourished. In Timbuktu, it was said that books were more valuable than gold. While parts of Europe were still emerging from a period of intellectual stagnation, West Africa was producing brilliant scholars whose works and ideas still exist today. So, why isn't the story of Mansa Musa taught in most schools? Why is the richest man in history often just a footnote? Because his story, in its full glory, destroys a dangerous and persistent myth, the myth that pre-colonial Africa was poor, backward, and isolated, waiting to be discovered. Mansa Musa's life is proof of the opposite. It proves that Africa had immense global influence. It proves that Africa shaped and, in this case, even broke world economies. It proves that Africa funded and championed education, science, and the arts at the highest levels. The colonial narratives that would later dominate history couldn't survive this powerful truth. And so, the story of Mansa Musa was minimized, footnoted, and largely ignored. In the end, Mansa Musa didn't just break the world economy, he exposed the truth about global power, wealth, and civilization. His story reveals that Africa was not a continent waiting to be saved. It was a continent that was leading. The real question isn't just how rich Mansa Musa was. It's why so many of us were never taught his story. Thanks for watching. If you found this journey into the past enlightening, be sure to subscribe for more hidden histories.